5 years ago, a nuclear holocaust incinerates the world. The whole of human civilization lay in waste. This is the future megalopolis of New York. Twin brothers eke out their living in an obscure area of the city. Their neighbors know them as Billy and Jimmy Lee. The two run a tiny kung fu dojo with their few surviving disciples. And then, one day, everything changed. A letter arrives at the Lee brothers' doorstep. If you ever hope to see Marion alive again, bring us the sacred scrolls of the secret arts. The Black Warriors. The Black Warriors. Yes, the Black Warriors. New York's largest criminal syndicate, led by the merciless Machine Gun Willie. Marion, hang in there. I swear on our bond, I will save you. The Lee brothers' battle is about to begin. Okay, greetings and salutations, good neighbors. Welcome to Double Dragon on the iOS. This is an odd game because for the longest time, like, I thought it had very little value. It was just another iOS purchase. That I just happened to make and then forget about back in the days when I had an iPad and used the iPad frequently. Back when it wasn't just collecting dust in the corner of the basement. Actually, I'll go into that in a little bit. For now, I probably should just explain the setup for this whole shebang. I'm going to be playing Double Dragon on easy mode because I suck. And on automatic. And there are two modes of play for that. There's automatic and manual. Automatic gives you limited, easier inputs, but it limits your amount of moves. Manual gives you more moves, but the whole layout is cluttered with buttons. Like right now, all I've got, it really is just attack, jump, and crouch for some reason. And there's a decent amount of moves here too, that you also get through leveling up as well. But that's essentially the basic setup of this playthrough. Of this remake of Double Dragon. Which is interesting in that at this point it is unplayable on modern devices and largely forgotten by its developers, who might still exist somewhere. Probably they don't. The Double Dragon license is kind of an odd thing altogether anyway, as there have been multiple companies releasing multiple versions of games. I'm sure there's some better documentation elsewhere about the whole history of Double Dragon, so I'm not going to go there as it's been done better by other people. Instead, let's just focus on this game for a little while, although every so often I'm going to stop talking and allow the cutscenes, the dramatic storyline of Double Dragon play out. Welcome to the gun show, boy. It's time for you to die. Might as well forget about Willie. You ain't gonna live to meet him. Dear sweet Moses, you're huge. And the gun show? What are you, 13? Alright, Beefcake, let's see what you've got. Okay, now the setup of the game is the same as the original. Marion gets kidnapped by the you know, the villains of Double Dragon have never really been that amazing. Like, when Abobo is your classic Double Dragon villain, when Skullmageddon is the best villain Double Dragon has seen in years, it doesn't really say much. And this game, this remake, is no exception, featuring the eventual Machine Gun Willie. God, looks like the show's over. Maybe you'd have won if there wasn't so much of you to punch, fatty. Now, where the hell is Willie? He's due for a pounding that'll make what you just got look like a gentle caress. I don't know where Willie's hiding, but there's someone who does. You're gonna have to go to the factory. Now, to be particularly honest, I suppose I should say that the original Double Dragon, and the Double Dragon series in general, has never really been one of my favorites. It's been a very uneven series. Double Dragon 1 is kind of a pain in the ass to play. It feels like all you do is really trade punches. It requires a lot of jump kicking and maybe a little bit of luck. Double Dragon 2 was the classic I played back in the day. Although even that one has its own elements of frustration, i.e. the helicopter level, i.e. the spike caverns. This game has one main issue, and that's kind of lining yourself up with opponents. You have to be like very, very precise when it comes to figuring out where you can actually hit them. And disappointingly, when you're holding a weapon, that kind of ruins your ability to use any other attack. So I think I blew through most of the first level using the whip, but oh, by the way, this is being recorded after because reasons. But for this level, I think I eventually stopped using the whip, only to kind of for variety's sake. Oh, and these guys just drop tons of explosives for no particular reason. And I'm not entirely sure how to throw a bat, but I'm pretty good at doing so. There's some basic combos being shown there. Like if you do like just a straight-on punch, you've got your basic punch combo, but if you're holding down an attack, that does like a lower kick that opens up to a different combo in itself, which is pretty nifty. Change things up. And that's really the thing that most of these beat-em-ups suffer most, is just a lack of moves.
My oh my, what a stunning example of the male form. A shame then that I must perforce shuffle you off this mortal coil. Then again, a bout of fisticuffs will allow me to examine your physique.
Whoa, hands off the merchandise, pal. You gotta pay to ride this roller coaster. And the kind of currency you got ain't accepted here. I've never really understood the villain Burnov, largely because of, in the early games, when you defeated him, he phased out of existence, then phased back in, then phased back out, and all that remained was his helmet. And then that disappeared as well. I think it's because I was expecting street hoodlums to be what I'm fighting mostly, and Burnov kind of like separated from them. Now I suppose as Shadow Warriors, like they should be different, but it was still odd at the time.
Fiddlesticks, how could you have bested me in a contest of martial skill? Ah, but such exquisite pain, I say. I think I am altogether spent.
Why are you wearing a welding mask under your... You know what, I think I'm better off not knowing. Just tell us where Willie is, and we'll leave this uncomfortable episode behind us.
Those hooligans have appropriated a former institution of learning for use as their center of operations. The head man should be able to point you in Willie's direction.
This is also kind of how the plot, the deep intrigue, the story of Double Dragon, the iOS game, is strung together. You fight through a whole bunch of dudes, and sometimes dudettes. You get to a boss, you beat up the boss, and the boss is like, hey, if you're looking for Machine Gun Willie, try looking in this direction. And then you go to the next level, you beat up some more enemies. Oh, Machine Guns Willie's in the next castle. But in regards to bonus stages, there are 2 bonus stages that are in the game. This one, I'm mostly successful at. For some reason, in order to exit the bonus stage, you just die. Like you don't lose a life, but it's just like it has to kill you in order for the game to pull you out. But that one I'm mostly successful at. The next one, I fail terribly. Almost instantaneously, one might say. But, like, this game has a pretty healthy variety of goons to beat up. And what's interesting is that you can unlock these goons to play as well, and they have their own separate set of moves and abilities, which you can then level up while playing the game. So the game itself is not particularly long, but there's a pretty good amount of replay value. And are those the nerds that got shoved into the closet, into the lockers? The nerd thugs. And then, of course, limit break. You get a nice shadow trail coming off you. That's how you know how powerful you are. If you were walking down the street and you saw a guy with a shadow trail coming off of him, you wouldn't mess with him. You'd go to the other side of the street. And see what I mean? Like, tons of explosives. Like, if you start hitting them at the right time, they just drop. It's like they've got, like, a dozen sticks of dynamite pre-lit, just shoved in their pocket when they're ready to fight you. Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to properly interact with these barrels later on. Until later on, should I say. And I did not use them particularly effectively, so there's that. And now here's Green Abobo, who's clearly different from regular Abobo because he has no lines of dialogue. Later on in the game, you run into regular Abobo again, and he has dialogue as well. So does that mean that this is not related to an Abobo-esque character? He just happens to look exactly the same, except green? Oh no, I'm cornered. There's no escape. For Billy Lee. For Billy. The enemies seem to be doing a pretty good job harnessing the power of the barrel. You know, now that I notice, there's a weapon, it says weapon at the bottom of the screen. So I wonder if I could press that to drop the weapon. I did not realize that while I was playing the game. But here is Lavish Love. What? You're telling me this chick's the boss? Alright, fine. I was getting tired of this sausage fest anyway. I see you had some fun with my men. A little too much fun, though. You're going to have to take responsibility. How'd you like to work under me in their place? Now, this remake also adds in some more bosses that weren't in the original game, such as female bosses. The Shadow Warriors are much more inclusive this time around. Although it seems that both female bosses tend to spend most of their time kind of hunched over. This one is just kind of like hunched over with like a coat just kind of sort of draped over herself. Whereas the other one kind of fancies a more Naruto run in order to get around. I guess they both kind of Naruto run. She just like charges face forward. Alright, I submit. I'm yours. Honestly, what a brute. Hey lady, you mess with a bull. You get the horns. Put those things away before you hurt yourself. Where the hell was she keeping them? Now spill it. Where's Willie? Fine, I'll tell you. But only because I want to. My uncle has a gym nearby. You should go look around there. Now, Double Dragon 3 is a game that I largely just read about in video game magazines back in the day. I haven't actually played it, but that might be for the best because it is somewhere between incredibly hard and terrible. Like, they looked back at Double Dragon games and said, you know what? These are too easy, having extra lives. Okay, now this is mysterious. I don't know what it means when it says, while clenching stomach. Roundhouse kick is attack while clenching stomach. During clench, use the D-pad while clenching stomach. I'm thinking that might mean when you're grabbing somebody... I think. But it's a little bit vague. Now, when you crouch, that does open up a different move. Which is useful in certain occasions, but only certain occasions. It's not the bread and butter. Oh, that is the bread and butter, though. The downward jumping kick, the dive kick, so to speak. That is excellent. And a great way to enter and exit combat. Nope. Yep, fell off that invisible edge there. Well, it's kind of hard to see, at the very least on an iPad. And, of course, more green abobos. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was talking about Double Dragon 3. Double Dragon 3 did introduce something that was different for the series. And that was the ability to find people in the world, and the people replaced... there was like a different fighter that you can get that could replace you after you died. But he was not a master of martial arts like Billy and Jimmy are. And the replacement might as well have been nothing. Or at least that's what I read. Most of the time when I finally got around to sitting down and playing Double Dragon 3, I got past the first dojo, and maybe a little bit more than that. Like, that is a game that I'm not too worried... Like, both Double Dragon 1 and Double Dragon 3 are games that I'm not necessarily worried about ever completing. But Double Dragon 3, I'm not even really worried about playing ever again. Like, Double Dragon 1, if they re-release... Like, they re-released the arcade version of it, and with infinite lives, sure, I'll give it a go. Oh, and here's just an anonymous set of doors in the middle of the forest, attached to a mountain. does not seem suspicious at all. Man, next to those other guys, you're almost normal.
Billy Lee of the Sosetsuken. It is time we meet in battle. Should you win, I will tell you all that I know.
Alright, bro, let's dance! And now to fight against the martial arts master, Chin. Trying to come up with a voice for him was tricky because I didn't want to necessarily be... Like, all these voices are terrible. I'm not gonna kid you or anything. But I was still not sure like what I was supposed to do for Chin, and I ended up doing just a really terrible George Takei impression. The oh my.
I have lost. How can this be? I have heard the rumors of your skill, but to think...
Whoa, that was radical! What a rush! So how about you spill that info you promised, bro?
Very well. I am a man of my word. This should set you on the path. When next we meet, I will be victorious. Mark my words.
And then there was Double Dragon 4 for the Super Nintendo. I never played it when it was new. I don't know how... Well, back in the day, like for the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, like the internet was kind of there, but like, how did you learn about new games? Like only through magazines. You didn't have the internet to tell you things. You didn't have trailers. You didn't have YouTube to tell you what was cool and popular. So games like Super Double Dragon just kind of slipped by my radar back then. And it's a game that I've largely only played through emulation. And it's pretty cool. I would probably say of all the classic Double Dragons, it is my favorite. It's kind of slow. That's probably the worst thing that I could say about Double Dragon 4, is that the movements are kind of slow. Everything kind of has a little bit of a wind-up to it, whereas like Double Dragon 2 is faster, punchier, kickier. Everything is very quick. But at the same time, there are, like, the main reason why Double Dragon 2 might not be higher up on my list is because of the more frustrating aspects of the game. Especially, like, the 2D sections where you're fighting guys and you cannot jump because there are spikes in the ceiling. That's not a good time. That is a complete miss. Also, short shorts seem to be in season at this club. But, like, Super Double Dragon is also the main one, I want to say, that adds in more types of combos, more types of attacks. So it's got a lot more going on for it than a lot of the previous games. And though, like, the difficulty isn't exactly easy. It's not like it's a pushover or anything. The boss's name is up there, Neon Lights. It seems that both of the female bosses are like that. Lavis had her name graffitied on the wall. Dina has her name in neon lights for everybody to see, because at this club, she's the coolest of the cool. Staircases are a little odd to maneuver in this game. They they're just kind of there. They're just kind of like separate platforms, so you end up just kind of like falling from them onto the next available step. And there in the background is Dina, hidden in shadow, waiting to strike. You beat everybody! Another babe! I may not approve of their business practices in general, but it's good to see the Shadow Warriors striving for gender equality in the workplace. You're pretty extreme, man, but don't even think you can handle this hotness. Okay, so I did mention Dina's weird Naruto run, but I also completely forgot about her weird prance as she's moving up and down and left and right throughout the stage. Her walking animation is just a little odd. Like, if she's supposed to be the cool, hip chick, she's got the headphones on. Like, the whole demeanor seems like it's a little off from what they're trying to go with. Especially since she's got the breakdown move, the breakdancing moves, the spinning kicks. It's a little odd. Oh man, this blows. Uncle Willie's the only guy who's beat me this bad. I guess I still got a lot to learn. You weren't so bad yourself, babe. What do you say we do this again sometime? I'm gonna practice. You just wait and see. Your ass is going down. Anyway, Uncle Willie's just over there, but be careful, he's pretty hardcore. And now that that is complete, it is on to one of the... like, this is still takes back to... oh, no, I almost forgot. Oh, almost forgot about my complete and utter failure. And done. Perfect. So the stage that's coming up is, like the music cues you in that, at the very least I feel the music cues you in to make you realize that this is kind of goofy. Like, to me it almost kind of sounds like a carnival ride. And some of the, like the background hazards that are lifted directly from the original game, like this goblin statue that's just standing guard over this door with a spear. Dealing the killing blow. I think I die another time to that spear later on. Same spear, mind you. And then the entire bottom of the screen is just covered in spikes. So that's not a path either. You have no choice but to fight your way through these weird, cartoonish goblin statues. Which, again, back in the day, like, it felt like an odd part of the game. But that just might be a testament to the more goofier aspects of Double Dragon, or the Shadow Warrior aspects. Now, I'm going to skip over Double Dragon Neon because I don't think I have much time. And Double Dragon Neon is one of the best games ever made. And talk about Double Dragon 2. Specifically the Double Dragon 2 that came after Neon. Mainly because that kind of discussion is going to be really short. One, the game is just bad. It feels bad, it plays bad, looks horrible. But I didn't play much of it because the actual act of playing it made me nauseous. Because every time you punch somebody, every single punch shook the screen. Like, I understand, like, if you want to give more impact to, like, a really, really cool hit. Sure, that's fine. But you don't have to make every attack seem equivalent in power. That's just too much. Most effective knee strike ever. Where's Marion? She better be all right. Marion! Willie, you sick bastard! Aw, quit your bitchin'. The girl's just having a little nap is all. Now I reckon I'll be having them sacred scrolls of yours. Then take 'em, jerk! Ah, finally, the power of the sacred scrolls is mine. Grah! Now I'd love to grind y'all into chicken feed, but there's a couple folks what wanna jaw with ya first.
How positively delightful that we should meet again. I dare say you shan't have such as easy go of it this time.
You ready, boy? I've been blasting my delts double time. My bigness is perfection. Welcome to Chumpville. Population, you. A little warm-up before the big event? Sure thing, dorks. Let's dance. And now comes the return of a Bobo and Burnov. And you know that it's not really a big boss fight because the silly music is still playing. They have no health bars. Although I wonder, like, because you couldn't leave the bonus stage without dying, whether the lack of health bars also is an issue of the program itself. Like, if they try to give them health bars, that would cause end-of-stage issues. And they'd have to somehow program around it. The Brothers of the Sosetsuken. You shall fall before me as leaves before a gale. Look, bro, I don't know what your beef is, but I ain't exactly in the mood. You want a tango? I'm gonna break my foot off in your ass. Here, I would defeat you at your best. I will tolerate no excuses for your defeat. Let us begin. And Chin is back, but like a Bobo, like Burnov, he does not have a life bar. Unlike Bobo and Burnov, he doesn't get an ad support, which I think kind of shows this game's greatest flaw, is that if you're fighting a boss by themselves, they've got nothing. That's why, like, every single boss in this game has ads. Because they just don't really have any defense against you just standing in front of their body, waiting for them to get up. Reckon they didn't have the chops to take down the like of you. Guess it's like my pop always said. You want a job done right, you do it yourself. And now the final fight. against Machine Gun Willie. He has ads, of course. He's got ads, he's got boss music. That's how you know he's the final boss. He seems to have just basically, he tends to kick and punch more than he tries to shoot, but then I don't suppose I really gave him much of a chance. And he's done.
Ha 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 ha. Well, ain't that something? No point in me pulling my punches, huh? Let's get this show on the road then. Figure it's about time you kicked the bucket.
Okay, now the real fight. Except I'm probably gonna just shut up because the music is pretty darn awesome. Now, this, in regards to music choice, like the whole stage before it was weird and goofy, but this, and this final moment against Machine Gun Willie, powered by the sacred scrolls of the Sosetsuken clan. I think I pronounced that right. The use of the Double Dragon theme is fantastic.
Damn, old man, you're serious business. Gold dang it, how in tarnation did I lose? I had your damn scrolls. How? Arrgh. Alright, bro, hand over Marion. Oh, how scary. Thank you, Billy. I always knew you'd save me.
And thus, that is the end of that chapter. Machine Gun Willie has been defeated. Tina from Dead or Alive, for some reason, has joined the cast to go on this sports car ride through the highway, filled with advertisements for Double Dragon. Peace at last. Now, one of the reasons why I kind of remembered that this game even existed was actually from Matt McMuscles of Super Best Friends, who was trying to find some way to play this game, because as technology, this is something is widely known. As technology advances, old stuff does not quite work as well as it used to, if you're lucky to get it running at all. With apps on your phone, especially so much so that there are a lot of old apps that I got back in the day for the iPad 2 that I cannot use anymore. I look at my download list on my iPhone and it's just blacked out because it can't be used. It's done. No more playing games like Doom the RPG or Mass Effect Infiltrator. Although I suppose for Mass Effect Infiltrator I heard it was pretty terrible. But one day I would like to actually play through it. Yeah, maybe I should do so since I now have the ability to plug my iPad 2 into the television and record. But like with PC games, there's systems behind that. There's good old games there to... The young dragons made mincemeat of their arch-enemy Willie, but this was just the beginning of a long battle. This wasn't really much of the beginning because they never remade Double Dragon 2. Though it would have been interesting to see their remake of it. And I got unlocked a new character. This one would be Lavish Love. Sometimes you never get beyond the first stage. That's life. That is a hint screen to hold on to. But that was Double Dragon for the iOS. I might come back to it to take a look at the manual mode, take a look at other characters. But for now, so long.